So with that deck, I mean, I was a bit more excited about the other two decks, and I definitely think I could have gone for 4-0 with them. I did face some very strong decks in the games that I lost, though, so I didn't feel too bad about that. This deck, however, I mean, I'm happy if I go 3-1 with it. I don't think that's too much to ask, but I would not like to mulligan this hand. Get to go turn 1 cycle Tranquil Thicket. I definitely think if you've got a couple lands, you just cycle these away as soon as possible. Just turn them into spells. Especially, they're all green here, and I need blue and white to make my hand really good. Okay. Not bad. Now here I'll probably... my opponent does have Counterspell up, so I'm not going to play the Sylvan Library yet, because that's a better card in my hand for sure. I'm going to play Brindleshote. Counterspell being a card in this format is pretty... Yeah, my opponent's pausing here, so thinking about countering my Brindleshote, I'd imagine. I'm not saying my opponent definitely has Counterspell, but... Okay, they have Counterspell. So my play paid off. Maybe they have a 3-drop they want to play. Definitely not a Mana War. Okay, so what is it? Simian grunts at sorcery speed. That's a thing, I guess. So definitely going to play Sylvan Library here. Follow up with Mountain Valley, because I can't cycle that, ever. So now, we can see what we get for Sylvan Library. If we get Exile, that'll be nice. We take a hit from this. Then we just exile it and gain the life back. Yeah, there's no reason to play this. This isn't even a good creature to play Sorcery Speed. It's just a 6-mana 3/4. Like, so much of its value is that it's basically a removal spell. Our opponent's deck seems good, but there's slightly messy play there. I'm hoping they drew the Forest as well. Because if I had Forest in hand and played Island to play Simian Grunts, that's just shocking yourself for nothing. I don't know. I'm gonna try not to be too judgmental. Yes, I will use this. Ooh. Those are some Fyndhorn Elves. So I can play Fyndhorn Elves, then I can get a Forest. I definitely don't want to keep more than one of these here. Just thinking if I... What am I doing with this Tranquil Thicket? Although I could keep all of them and then end of turn play an Arrogant Worm. That'd cost 8 life though. Don't think I want to do that. Sylvan Library works differently in Cube than it does here. Interesting. So, I think I'll sacrifice this. Look for a Forest. And cycle Tranquil Thicket. Just to see what I get. Cloud of Fairies. I could cycle this, get a land. I think I will actually do that. It just means I can definitely play Arrogant Worm next turn, no matter what. Also, not many forests left in my deck, which is kind of good. It's unfortunate that my Sylvan Library gets worse without that second shuffle effect. But it's still a really good card. Okay. Blastodome. Ugh. This card is just a headache. There's so few ways to deal with it in the format. There's a good chance I just lose this game. Blastodome is so hard to deal with. Okay. Okay, put that on top. Put that on top. Play Plains. So I now have a bunch of mana. I could play Arrogant Worm, or I could play Exile. This is a nice opening to get this down. Good question. The cards on top are Radiant's Judgment and a Mystic Zealots. If I play Arrogant Worm, they just don't attack with Simian Grunts, and they attack with Blastoderm. Would I want to double block there? Probably, because blue-green wouldn't have many tricks in that position. Otherwise, I might even have to chump with Fintorn Elves. Yeah, I think I have to take the opportunity I can get to actually kill Blastoderm. Oh, that card is so bad. I have to see if I have any like outs in my sideboard for that horrible, horrible thing. But I don't think I do. Might as well quickly check while my opponent deals with their feeding. Load. If you ever want to check your deck during a match, just go to Load Deck, Local Deck, and that's always the bottom one of these. Yeah, nothing I can particularly see. Battle Screech is okay against Blastoderm. And I'd consider bringing it in a slower matchup like this, where a lot of 1/1 tokens can really help you get the advantage. Yes, I have to double block here. If they trade, well, that's the best I can hope for. I can't imagine them really having a trick here. There's a small handful, but it looks like a trade to me. Okay. Not that Graveyard Order matters in my deck specifically, but in this format there are a couple cards that care about Graveyard Order. Mr. Hollow Griffin returns the top creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. Yeah, I'm okay with that development. I'll pass the turn. Cycle Cloud of Fairies in there in step. I'd cycle it now, except I know my top card is just a Mystic Zealot, which I won't be able to cast. Let's exile this thing. And gain some life back. Alright, we're back to being even now. More or less. Would be nice to still have a Sylvan Library, but yeah, it happens. I'm not sure if I like main deck artifact enchantment removal. There's a few good ones in the format, but there's also just decks that don't play any. And the decks that don't play any are decks you really don't want to have to draw it against. Let's draw a Mystic Zealot, and it's going to be a 3/5 flying. Crysant Tusker's a nice draw. That can help me get a blue source and draw a card. This card's just good when you've got Threshold, 4 mana 3/5 flying. The problem is when you don't, it's just kind of average. But in a format like Vintage Masters, that's about the best you can ask for. Are they gonna bother attacking you? If they do, I'd almost consider not blocking until I have Radiant's Judgment up. Yeah. Alright. Let's get a blue source. Regrowth, that's a nice one. So, I'd probably just get back Crysant Tusker if I could. Maybe exile. I don't know. At this point, I'm actually just happy attacking. I would cast Manowar, but it leaves myself pretty open. If my opponent has a counterspell, I'm just not too happy about that. I will definitely cast Manowar next turn, though, once I can keep up Radiant's Judgment as well. Yep. We're racing, I know that. Except I have a Manowar and a Regrowth for exile, another flyer, another removal spell. Ooh, 2 Manowars. My opponent's not winning this game at this point. hypothetically possible, but it's not going to happen. There's almost an argument to be made to use Regrowth now to try and bait out any counterspells, because the mana wire is so valuable. Yeah. That's okay. If I knew I was drawing another one, I definitely would have done it last turn. Frantic Search. I just don't like playing that card. It's card disadvantage, pure and simple. You can make it work, for sure. Like, I've got 2 Madness cards in my deck, but even then I still just don't like it. It's just... yeah, getting rid of Roar of the Worm is okay. I am going to Radiance Judgment that, though. Like, they're going to go down to 1 card in hand now, for no reason. What? Wait. Yeah. That's actually a really good question. I'm not sure how Arrogant Worm works with Frantic Search. I think they should have just been able to cast that, but they didn't. There's something very worth noting, and I'm going to explain it now, because it's kind of complicated, and it's very relevant for Vintage Masters. Arrogant Worm specifically is that Madness, it's a pretty unique ability. I'm not going to Radiance Judgment this, because they get an elephant. If I Mana War it, they just don't get an elephant. It's great. If I thought they had another counterspell, I would probably Radiance Judgment here, but they've played 2 of them. The chances of them having a 3rd one in their deck, let alone in their hand, is pretty low. But yeah, Arrogant Worm, add Madness. I'll try and get an example on screen for you guys, if I can, by activating it myself. But obviously, the main priority is to win, and not to demonstrate quirks of Magic Online. Don't have a counterspell. Come on, man. Don't do that to me. Thank you. Thank you for letting me blow you out. So, in my ongoing, abruptly cut off story about Arrogant Worm, when you activate Madness, you discard the card from your hand, you click on the card, and it gives you 2 options. Like cast. So just going to tap this? Sure. One option is cast, and the other option... one option is discard, and the other option is discard with Madness. You have to click discard with Madness, otherwise it won't work at all. You'll just discard the card and will not have an opportunity to cast it. So you click discard with Madness, and then the card goes to the exile zone. Raphelos is much worse on turn 11 than turn 2. Also, doesn't even seem that good in my opponent's deck from what I've seen. Why are they casting this at sorcery speed? It hurts to watch. But yeah, so you click discard with Madness, it goes to the exile zone, then you'll have a pop-up window here. It will say, would you like to cast this card, or would you like to cast it with Madness? And the only option will be no. What you actually have to do there is you have to click on the card in exile, and you have to click cast with Madness. Again, just cast. You click on the card and it lets you cast it. There's no box that pops up for you. You have to go to the exile zone, click on the card, and click cast. If you don't do that as well, nothing will happen. You will just not get to cast the card, and it will go to your graveyard. It's really dumb. Like, it's a really stupid thing. I have no defense for it at all. I can get Mana War here. My opponent still has a Roar of the Worm in their graveyard, but I have Radiance Judgment for that. So in library, Arrogant Worm. Elves. I think I'll just attack with Mystic Zealot. Even if I use Sudden Strength, I can't quite kill my opponent this turn. Okay, so So knock my opponent down to 6. Now I think I'll cast Skywing Haven, since it has flying. Unfortunately, I'd rather keep up Radiant's Judgment than play the Finthorn Elves, so I'm going to do that. This is, like, you can see here, I haven't drawn any of my particularly good cards in my deck. No Edric, no Armadillo Cloak, no Selvala, just some big dumb things and some Manowars. And just the efficiency of this format really lets you go crazy. Like, you just get to trade cards in such a unique way. 7 mana, eh? What's this? Crowsand Tusker. Okay, I'll Radiance Judgment that, I don't care. Hopefully my opponent... Oh, thank you! That's so good. Just gonna kill this now and see if my opponent concedes. Because I'm not blocking. Means I don't have to show Sudden Strength as well. Like, playing around Radiance Judgment is much harder than playing around Sudden Strength. Playing around Radiance Judgment means not playing big creatures ever. Whereas playing around Sudden Strength just means factoring 3 extra damage every combat. So I managed to keep Sudden Strength and Regrowth from them. They know about my Sylvan Library, but that's fine. So the card I have trouble with is Blastoderm. I have Roar of the Worm to deal with that. What else do I have? Provoke's no good. Rescind is no good. And there's no Death Touches or anything. It's kind of cool to note that Deathblade Elite actually just absorbs damage forever. My opponent doesn't really have Flying or Trample. I could almost bring in Deathblade Elite just as the board's best blocker. It's much worse since damage doesn't go on the stack, but could still be okay. Brilliant Halo could be good too. Can turn like my ordinarily smaller creatures into things that can tussle with a Blastoderm. It's also how much respect do I want to give Blastoderm. Like, it's an uncommon. It's only one card in my opponent's deck. It's bad against Urnimjin, because Urnimjin can't target it, so you just block with Urnimjin and a 1-1. Thing is, I deal so well with all my opponent's other cards. I almost would just want a way to deal with that one. Kind of considering cutting Cloud of Fairies here. Cycling plays pretty well with Sylvan Library, that's another thing to note. You can cycle the card in your upkeep, and then Sylvan Library lets you draw 3 cards, and you can also return the card you drew with the cycling card to the top of your deck. So you basically get to look at the top 4 cards of your deck, keep 2 of them. You can keep more if you like, but you don't have to. Also notice that I had Regrowth and Sylvan Library in my graveyard that entire time, but I just didn't need it. Don't really want to return any of this beefy stuff, it's all pretty good. On the draw, I think I might return Cloud of Fairies. Yeah, give it a try. Sure. Let's try this. I'm not saying it's necessarily good, but it could be. Probably should have put in another Plains. I was just thinking I should have put in another Plains, and then I see this hand. Ugh. I was going to put in a Plains over an island. This hand would be great if one of those islands was a Plains. Why'd I submit so quickly? I will mulligan this. That's not actually a good hand. This hand is much better. It's kind of awkward, but Aether Mutation just is such a huge tempo play. And my opponent's deck is kind of slow. Come on, Finthorn Elves. That's not a Finthorn Elves. That would have been the absolute best draw. Finthorn Elves is usually just the best draw on turn 1. Raphellis, really? Let's hope my opponent has nothing good to turn that into. Come on, Finthorn Elves. So that would be a Cloud of Fairies if I kept that in. That's fine. This is not going well. Okay. What have they got? A Simian Grunts. Sure. Still massively confused by my opponent's entire everything. I don't know. So here I can Aether Mutation their Simian Grunts, and then... Oh my god. My opponent is just really facing a tough time against my deck. Having 2 or 3 Simian Grunts against Aether Mutation and Manowars is not where you want to be. Oh, they're going to use Raphaelis this time. Does that mean they have another play? It's interesting. I don't know what it is. If it's another Simian Grunts, then I don't even know. I don't even know. Is it nothing? It's weird. Yes, I do wish to use this. So I'll put this on top for sure. I'm not playing it. And Mountain Valley. Depends if I think Fyndhorn Elves is going to resolve / survive. Because I really want to cast this Aether Mutation. I could just take Mountain Valley and put back Fyndhorn Elves. That's really bad. Just keep Fyndhorn Elves. It's the good tempo play. Okay, play this on here. Might as well get a 2-3, why not? And if my opponent doesn't have a play here, then that's even more confusing. I gave him 2 spells to counter, a creature to bounce. Yeah, and they just chose to not deal 2 damage with Raphaelis. I don't know. They're keeping up blue for some reason, but they've got 7 mana now. Let's hope they cast a 7-drop so I can bounce it with Aether Mutation. I will be so happy if that happens. Krosan Tusker, please. As long as Krosan Tusker happens, I'm happy. If something else happens, I'm less happy. This card's just really good. I'm just really excited to cast it. I haven't cast it in months. I'm jonesing for some Aether Mutation. Then I get to regrow it and play it again. Ah, so good. So good. Just don't have an island. Please don't have an island. That would actually... That's probably the best defense for what they did, actually. They were keeping the island up, so if they drew another island, they could play Counterspell. Oh, that's so good. Thank you. I wanted to bounce something bigger than a 3-drop. I really did. Now I get to. I'm a happy chappy. I do wish to use this, and I hope I see an untapped land. I don't, but I see an Edric. Put on top. Put on top. So now let's bounce Arrogant Worm. Please resolve, please resolve, please resolve, please resolve. Oh, that's the best feeling. Your opponent loses a creature and you get 5 of them. How is that not the best feeling in the world? Ah, feels good. Just gonna blow my... And I blew my nose. So now... Wouldn't be surprised if they just recast Arrogant Worm. Using lands? I'm really happy with that as well. Manowar. Bouncing what? A 1/1? That's okay. That doesn't make sense, because I get both those cards back. I mean, it's good in the sense I can't regrow Aether Mutation. But that's about it. Also means I was considering stopping in my upkeep to sack Mountain Valley, to shuffle my cards, and maybe hit a 7th land. Yeah, Sylvan Library is gone. My top card's Edric anyway. It's Edric and then Skywing Haven. which I'd like to draw, but I think I care enough about drawing Edric that I'm happy to shuffle after that. Edric Brilliant Halo's pretty okay. I would love my opponent to attack for everything. Get to kill both their creatures. Hit with a 2/3. Oh, sorry. I thought that would just kill itself. I was waiting on my opponent. That was silly of me. Yeah. I'm definitely piling high on this guy. I've taken enough damage from your Simian Grunt. Now I can play Edric. Well, let's open by sacrificing Mountain Valley for a forest. It's kind of nice these don't deal damage like regular fetches. It's kind of not nice that they come into play tap though. Let's put Brilliant Halo on. Do I actually want to? I can attack with both and they can lose their Raphaelis. If I do hit and draw a card, and it's a land, then I can play Findhorn Elves. Like, that's the dream scenario, is that I hit, draw a land, and play Findhorn Elves. Otherwise I attack with both of these and either kill Raphaelis or draw one card. I think I'm okay with just attacking here, actually. Because if I kill Raphaelis, that's pretty good. And if I draw a card, that's also pretty good. Then I can play Findhorn Elves, and I'm that much closer to regrowth Aether Mutation. Yeah. I had a feeling that was going to happen. I definitely want to use this ability. And yep, that works. Play Findhorn Elves. Play Brilliant Halo on Findhorn Elves. Actually, turning Edric into a 3/4 is not bad, but I think my Findhorn Elves is more losable. And then if they just play another big thing, I get to Aether Mutation it again, which should seal the deal somewhat. Regrowth Aether Mutation with Edric already in play is a really strong move. I'm definitely not fussed about Sylvan Library anymore. Also, I can just cast Roar of the Worm. Yep, this looks like Arrogant Worm. Now the question is, does my opponent have a counterspell? Kinda looks like a counterspell. Do I just play Roar of the Worm here? I think I might. Question is, do I play Lonely Sandbar, or do I wait to cycle it later? I'd kinda like to cycle it now, but I think that's a bit too greedy. Yeah, I think Aether Mutation is a strong enough move that I'm happy just to play Roar of the Worm here. And hey, if it resolves, I'm happy. Wow! Okay. I'm assuming my opponent has a Manowar, because it really looks like they had a counterspell. Like, I'm perfectly happy getting a 6/6. Completely happy getting a 6/6. Three, 4. Repel. Yeah, that's alright. Not ideal, but it's okay. Now I will 100% Aether Mutation Arrogant Worm. Or Manowar. I was gonna Aether Mutation Arrogant Worm. Now I'll Aether Mutation Manowar. And they're tapping out for me. I love you, opponent. Thanks. And Brindle Shoat. Value, value, value. So I definitely want to hit with Edric. I'm not sure if I want to hit with... I don't think I want to hit with Findorn Elves at all. So I hit here, I get to draw a card. Actually considering I might want to do Arrogant Worm after all. Not a 3-5 yet. Well, I definitely return Aether Mutation. That's the first step. Now, Elephant Guide is a pain, but I do have 2 Manawars, whereas getting 5 1/1s is really good. I get to block Manawar forever. Brindle Shoat helps. Thinking time. If I do Manawar, I can't block with Findorn Elves this turn. Next turn I get to drop both my other cards, or I get to play Roar of the Worm. I think the extra 2 1/1s might actually just be worth it. Yeah, I think my life total is important enough, and the 1/1s are valuable enough that I'll just do Arrogant Worm again. Getting rid of Elephant Guide is nice, but... nah. I'll just go down the value train. Get another Roar of the Worm going. Keep making my opponent's mana useless. Keep drawing cards off Edric. So this is the dream of this deck. That's just reasonable, mid-rangey value. Unfortunately, it doesn't stand up to like every deck in the field. But it's certainly good enough that it can go to 2-2 or 3-1. 3-1's a dream, because that means I break even. More or less, despite not opening anything too sweet. It's another thing with this format, you kind of have to rely on opening good cards. So I imagine here they will use Arrogant Worm. They're not even getting value off their Frantic Search. But at least they did discard Arrogant Worm correctly. And they've got a Claws of Wywood. That's not good against Skywing Haven. Don't play that card. Even though it does technically bolt players. I kind of forgot that it deals damage to each player. Still. Then again, any card with cycling on it is automatically main deckable. I'm just wondering about my opponent's deck. The blue... neither of their colours really seem to bring that much to the table. Their deck is like the specific deck that probably would like a splash for some extra power. Claws of Wywood in the same deck as a Keen-Eye Haven? That's very greedy. Okay. So I actually don't want to cast Erdem Jin here now. What I do want to do is cycle Lonely Sandbar. And see what I draw. Tranquil Thicket. That's funny. Okay. Brindle Shoat. I'm gonna start just beating their face in with a Flying Mystic Zealot. Maybe I should have kept the island. Oh, I should have totally done that. That was really bad play on my part. I should have not cycled Lonely Sandbar. I should have just kept this island up. Played this as a 2-4, because I had 6 cards in my graveyard. And then as soon as they attack a Keen-Eye Haven, turn it into a 3-5. Without even having to cast a spell, so there's no way they can really disrupt it. And just ambush the Keen-Eye Haven. That was a pretty big misplay from me. But it happens. Just gotta take it. See what they do now. Their attack's pretty bad with this many Saprolings. Whoo! Thank you. I will use that unblockability. Oh, they can just put it on Mystic Zealot and make me feel bad. If they do that, that's pretty next leveling. Because I'm on 8 life, they're on 17. If they make Mystic Zealot have Forest Walk, then I just feel horrible. Because I just never want to attack with it. Oh, attacking with Manowar, eh? And Arrogant Worm? Oh. Nothing? I don't know. As long as I manage my time now, we're getting below 10 minutes. I can possibly time my opponent out. That was an amazing draw. Cycle Tranquil Thicket. Get an island. Might as well play it. I've got spells in hand. I can hit with Mystic Zealot and maybe draw a card. Don't think I need to right now. I'll let my opponent make something Forest Walky. See what they choose. Maybe end of turn I can Radiance Judgment something. They have no cards in hand, so I'm feeling okay. If only I could turn this into a wall. Oh, they took Brindleshade as well. I'm happy with that. I can ping away with my 1/1. Why do they... I'm actually going to say something. It's a bit rude, but I really want my opponent to play that card at instant speed. I want them to play properly. It just hurts me to see it. It really, like, it emotionally damages me. Let's draw a card. We drew a good card. This card's insane. It's like, okay, in Odyssey, this is actually the format made for a combat trick that draws you a card. This is so much better than Giant Growth. Not as good in an aggro deck, but in this kind of deck, it's all I ever want. Okay, so I don't expect an attack now, but there might be. Who knows? 5, 6. Oh, Wish Aberration. Now, how do I get back my Aether Mutation? I want 6 1/1s. I want all the 1/1s. Or is my opponent going to attack? Oh, so sweet. Declare blockers. I'm actually going to try and get my Fyndhorn Elves to die here. If I can. Hopefully they order Fyndhorn Elves first, because I really want my Brilliant Halo back. So I can put it on whatever gets Forest Walk. Oh, don't order my Mystic Zealots first. That's just lame. Oh, Mana War. This could be doing some bouncing. Interesting thing is, do I want to bounce their elephant, or do I want to bounce my Fyndhorn Elves? Probably just their elephant. I think I'm getting too clever if I'm bouncing my Fyndhorn Elves. It's just very little reason to do that. Just keep getting in there with Brindleshade. It's the brindlest little shote that could. I can go down to... Whoa! That's a magic card. That is definitely a Magic the Gathering card. I am going to smash them. I am going to put this on my Mystic Zealot and deal a lot of damage with it. It's going to be good. And I might start attacking with Fyndhorn Elves. Or hope my opponent attacks me with, like, something. Oh. Ooh. I think I know what I'm doing. I am mana warring my Fyndhorn Elves, so I can tapping my Fyndhorn Elves for mana. Yes, good. I didn't press control there, so I was worried I wouldn't have priority. But because of Magic Online's weird priority rules, I did. So now I can just recast Finhorn Elves and put Brilliant Halo on my Mystic Zealot. And this card's insane! 6/8, Flying, Trample, Lifelink. Sort of... Smash! Smash! I'm not even going to draw a card because I don't need to. I gained that many life. 6 many. 6 many life. I would not like to use this ability. 6/9. That's what a 69 looks like. It looks awesome. It's the best thing you can do. I feel good. I think my opponent's just dead now, because next turn I can tackle everything. Depends what the card in their hand is. Okay, well, I was gonna brag about Armadillo Cloak because I'm a jerk or something. But, yeah, so we won that game, just slowly outvalued our opponent. Definitely think there was a way they could have won there. But, I mean, using Simeon Krantz at sorcery speed is just not worth it. It's a lot of mana for just a 3/4. I mean, I've bounced those a couple times. They're playing Frantic Search, which isn't particularly good. Claws of Wirewood's okay, but it's not good against my deck. And it's just... It's not necessary to play this. You just play some better cards. Keen-Eye Haven. I actually like Keen-Eye Haven, but I'm not sure if you need it in a deck with this much beef. It's better in a sort of more controlling deck, I think. Yeah, so here you saw the power of Aether Mutation. This card's absurd. Just someone starts beating you down and suddenly they can never attack you again. I still had a Roar of the Worm in my graveyard that I never used because I forgot about it because I didn't need it. I think my opponent did. Oh no, that was last game. Yeah, so that was stupid of me. I probably should have cast this at some point. Well, maybe not. I don't know. The only sweeper in this format is Winds of Wrath, which my Mystic Zealot was thankfully protected from. Anyway, that was round 1. We're up a game. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys for round 2, which should be starting any minute now.